Hi, wine students. Kirsten Fox with the Culinary Wine Institute. Welcome to Culinary Wine Questions webinar today. I'm excited to talk about the most important resource that you have at your disposal to sell wine at your tables. So first, I need to get started with some wine. So today I will be drinking Yalumba Viognier. So 2014. And this wine is a white. It's out of Australia. And I consider it an alternative to Chardonnay. For people who say they love Chardonnay, I will often suggest that they might enjoy a Viognier. And it goes like that because Viognier has a viscosity that they're used to with Chardonnay. It's an aromatic wine, super rich, and I'm going to give you some facts about it. High alcohol, low acid, and it's grown all around the world, mostly in California, the Rhone region, and Australia. So let me take a little sip of this. So really, a lot of heady aromas of like apricot. It's almost so ripe. It's like you're walking in Hawaii and you smell that like rich, almost jungle smell. Really flavorful, really nice wine. So this is Yalumba. Before I get really started on, oh, by the way, there's an offer on the side of your page. It's good for the whole webinar. And it is basically we have a $97 per person server program, and we have basically a silver jumpstart challenge up today, and that is you can send as many people through our $97 program in 30 days, and you can do it for $27 per person. And that also gets you our 90-day turnover protection guarantee. So if that person leaves, then you'll be able to basically replace that person and send them through our training for free. So click on that button that says we're in if you're interested in that. There'll be a little bit more details about that later. But excuse me, before we get started, I have a story for you. And let me get to the story here. Oh, excuse me, key takeaways today. What is that key resource I keep talking about that everyone can use? Why does it help you so much? And how do you find more of it? So first, a story. This is a picture of, it's kind of a fuzzy picture of Louisa Rose. And she is the lead winemaker at Yalumba, and that is the wine that I'm drinking today. That she makes this Viognier that I am drinking. Interesting story about her. She grew up on a vineyard, and she has been in the wine industry so long that this, as you can see, she's not that old. This is her 25th vintage that she is bringing in this year at Yalumba. And she is a groundbreaking winemaker, excuse me, there in Australia, women or female or male. She actually has been the one to put the Viognier grape on the map for Australia, and they're winning tons and tons of awards. When she's asked about the words that she uses to describe her winemaking style, she says, her philosophy, excuse me, she says curiosity, place, knowledge, sustainability, and individuality. So she's really got an interesting take, and there aren't many women in Australia in winemaking, and to be one of the leaders in Australia is quite amazing for her. In fact, with her emphasis on sustainability and her the Viognier program that she's developed, along with her pioneering spirit, she was actually nominated in 2013 by Wine Enthusiast for Winemaker of the Year. So she is at the top level in the United States. And so that is a little story about our the winemaker who is presenting the wine in my glass. So love it. All right, so let's go back to the beginning of this webinar. I started with some facts about this Yalumba. It's Viognier. Started with some facts about some of the aromas and some of the characteristics of it. I also talked a little bit about where it might be grown. Then I went into a story about the winemaker and how she really is such a unique woman in the wine industry there in Australia. So I ask you, because you just went through this best resource possible for people to use in regards to selling wine, I ask you, what do you remember about this wine? And what got you excited to perhaps try this wine? Was it the fact that I said it was high alcohol, low acid, you know, grown in California or the Côte d'Rône or Australia? Maybe the aromas of apricot or something would get you, and honey. If I said that, I can't remember if I said honey. Or did your curiosity peak when you started hearing about the winemaker? And why would you care what is in this glass? And why would hearing about the winemaker make you interested in trying it? Because it's really all just information about the wine. I gave you detailed facts, and then I gave you a story. So, key, most important tool to use to sell wine is stories. And this goes deep, deep, deep into our human psyche. I did a little research to prepare for the webinar today. There are so many stories now in the news about our brains on stories and what it does to our brains and how we literally are pre-programmed to dig in when someone says, let me tell you a story, because we actually our brain chemistry changes. Let me see if I can read this well. So it says, there was an article, one of the articles I read, your brain on story is different than your brain when it was receiving any other form of information, including straight facts and data. There are proven intersections between neuroscience, biology, and story we cannot ignore. The threads of stories that we hear, read, watch, and click on affect us intrinsically and tempt us as well. So when I started describing high alcohol, low acid, blah, whether you liked the wine or not, kind of, it's not as motivating as let me tell you a story about the woman who made this wine and put it in this bottle. So it's actually ingrained in our psyche. And continuing on with the brain research information, I don't know if you all know, but Ira Glass is one of the famous NPR story makers and storytellers. He says the power of anecdote is so great that it has momentum in and of itself. No matter how boring the facts are, with a well-told story, you feel inherently as if you're on a train that has a destination. And to sum up the information I'll read to you today, the results of reading stories to people showed heightened connectivity in a specific part of the brain. The left temporal cortex lit up, and not just for the period immediately following the reading assignments. The neural changes persisted for several days. This is why sometimes we say that a story was so powerful, we just can't seem to shake it. Super cool stuff. So when you are trying to affect your sales in your station. My suggestion is start learning the stories behind the wines that you are selling. That, more than anything else, is going to connect with your guests and get them curious and connected to a wine that you might be describing for the evening. So let's see, anything else? So I mentioned that offer, and let me go to that just to describe it a little bit more. Here's our friend Louisa. And then here's the offer, which is over on your right. If you're watching this live, you can click the We're In button, but it's today to our followers. And you might have seen this if you're on our email list earlier today. Our 3-hour, 4-part, award-winning, $97 per person wine sales course is available for $27 a person for as many people as you can sign up in 30 days. This includes the 90-day turnover protection. So if any one of those servers leaves, you get us to train their replacement for free. So happy to help. I don't know if you can hear my cat in the background meowing and ringing the bell to go out, but anyway, apparently cats aren't motivated by any of the stories I've been telling. So that, and you're certainly happy to email me at kfox@culinarywineinstitute.com if you're watching this in a replay, and I'll extend the offer to you at that time. So that's the story for the day. That's the story about the story about the stories, and that you can affect your take-home pay tonight by just doing a little smidge of research about the wines that you're offering, so you can give them a story, and that will help them connect with the wine, your guests. So next week, we are going to be covering, what are we covering next week? Let's see. We are covering, does the vintage matter? Why is some wine non-vintage? And who really cares? Because that's a good question for non-wine drinkers. Like, what do you really care about this? Because, for example, this is 2014. Does that really matter? We'll talk about it next week on Thursday. Thank you for coming, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.